Hi, everyone. I'm Devon McDonald. I'm a partner at OpenView, and I'm really excited today to be joining the presentation and to be talking to you about product-led growth, a topic that's very near and dear to my heart and to everyone at OpenView's heart. So let's jump into the deck here, and I'll walk you through just why we are just so excited about product-led growth businesses. So hopefully you can see my screen here in my beautiful mountainous background. Surviving in a product-led world is the topic of the conversation today. And before we jump into the meat of the topic, really quickly, OpenView, we're a venture capital firm. We're based in Boston. We invest exclusively in B2B software companies that are at what we call the expansion stage. We have 30 active portfolio companies, and a handful of them are businesses that are product-led. So Datadog, Expensify, Calendly, Pipefy, Deputy. These are all businesses that their product serves as the primary driver of acquisition, expansion, and retention. So that's how we define product-led growth. It's really when your product is the center of this giant universe, and the users, they always come first. So if you look into the market, there are a handful of very successful companies out there. Slack, Atlassian, Dropbox, they all have this model. The term product-led growth, PLG as we sometimes call it, relatively new. We started talking about it, researching businesses that were exhibiting these qualities that we were very fascinated by about a couple of years back. And the term is really starting to pick up momentum, and people are paying a lot of attention to it. But a lot of other sort of phrases or buzzwords are being thrown around as well that fall under a similar umbrella. So consumerization of IT, viral growth, freemium models, product qualified leads, bottoms up sales. So why are we so excited about product-led businesses or PLG businesses? They have a lower cost of customer acquisition or CAC. There are shorter payback periods, greater lifetime value of the customer, LTV, and they're growing faster. And it's really becoming the new expectation. Today, users and buyers have a lot of options. And not to overgeneralize, but we also tend to have shorter attention spans. So if you, in a world of so many different competitors out there as a technology company, you really have to get the attention, be very clear with your users, get their attention, activate them quickly, show them value quickly so that you can retain them before they jump ship and go to a competitor. It is the new expectation, absolutely. So what I want to do today is provide some lessons or best practices to arm you with some tools to be able to improve your PLG business, or perhaps introduce some product-led qualities to your more traditional enterprise go-to-market organization. So product-led businesses really flip the script on all aspects of their business, but I want to today focus on product marketing, pricing, and sales. Start off with product. So some product principles for successful PLG businesses, or those that are trying to become hyper successful PLG businesses. You got to start with the real user pain. You have to deliver value immediately, strip out anything that's uncritical, and make it stick. Easier said than done, but one company that we invested in that we feel does this very, very well is a business called Expensify. And many of you are hopefully using Expensify, but it is a tool that, as its name states or alludes to, helps you with your expenses and helps you get paid faster and strips out all the details that make expense reporting typically for most suck. So their tagline is expense reports that don't suck, straight to the point, straight to the real user pain. And ultimately, Expensify is an interesting business because most of their new customers have come from not by having boots on the ground, field sales reps, dialing into buyers and trying to sell a technology, but rather through word of mouth. They've actually spent very little money on sales and marketing to get to the great scale that they're at today. So marketing as a component of a PLG business. Some marketing principles that I'd like to recommend. You need to enable virality internally and externally. Your product is your key marketing channel, and I'll describe to you how to what that means or how to make that a reality. And your target, as I mentioned before, your users, not just your buyers, and actually users before your buyers. So Typeform, we have not invested in Typeform, but we do admire the business for sure, and it's certainly a product-led model as we would define it. I first started using Typeform, and I know OpenView started using Typeform because someone externally had sent me a survey, and my experience was amazing. It was very easy to fill out the survey. The interface, the UI was beautiful. And as I began thinking about tools that I could use in the future, it kind of stuck in my mind as being a good option. And so it was by experiencing the technology having been sent by someone in my network where ultimately it was then introduced into my workflow, into OpenView's broader community for using survey tools. And it was through this messaging at the completion of my own survey as a respondent that enabled me to start using the tool on my own and for free. So again, this marketing really didn't cost Typeform anything other than a product investment to market to respondents upon completion. Genius. Let's talk about pricing. Pricing is a really interesting topic and certainly at the core of product-led growth as a topic. We spend a lot of time at OpenView talking about pricing and working with our portfolio companies to help them in this area. Turns out that B2B software companies that are at the expansion stage, this is top of mind. How to optimize your existing pricing and packaging to be generating more revenue or ultimately increasing your conversions, or perhaps even as you're launching new product lines, really being thoughtful on how you're going to be packaging and pricing your new product. We do a lot of research working with our companies' target markets to understand their willingness to buy, what they're willing to pay, what their real pain point is, so that we can advise the companies on ultimately what the right pricing and packaging should look like. So Slack, to bring them up again, they're sort of the poster child for PLG. They've really nailed it with their pricing strategy. And I want to walk you through some pricing principles that we see them employing. They remove any barriers from initial usage. They enforce paywalls only after the value has been experienced by the end user. They expand customers with scalable expansion paths, and they really focus on product data in order to better understand their users and ultimately upsell them. So if you look at Slack's website, and they may have actually updated it by now because I know they updated it relatively frequently. You could start off using Slack for free, and you can you can start using it. And obviously it's a tool that requires more than one person to use in order to get value. So by nature, you share it with your colleagues or your community in order to engage and communicate more effectively. But you can start using it for free. If you want to start retrieving your archive messages, which becomes important at a certain point for most, that's when you need to start paying. And at that point, you've already started to experience and understand the value. And it's so sticky and you're using it so frequently that you can't imagine life without it. So of course you're going to upgrade. So this is an example of really kind of allowing your audience, allowing your users to experience the amazingness of your technology. And then only when you start introducing features do you start entering in some sort of paywall. It's tricky, and it actually does require research, user research, to understand what where that barrier, that paywall, where it should occur. But it's absolutely worth looking into. Sales. So sales it's an interesting topic. I think a lot of salespeople are a little bit nervous when we talk about product-led growth because they think their jobs are going to disappear. This is actually not the case at all. Sales and the human touch absolutely will continue to play an important role in product-led businesses. But it's just a different emphasis, right? It probably resembles a little bit more customer success than it ultimately does hardcore selling. which at the end of the day, why wouldn't anyone want that? It's nice to not have friction in that process of acquiring new users and helping versus forcing someone to do something that maybe is a little bit uncomfortable to them. So sales principles, everyone is a product evangelist. People obviously within your company should be product evangelists. However, your audience and your broader set of users should also be your product evangelists. Customer success, as I mentioned in just my last comment there, it should be your North Star. It's so important. User acquisition is one thing, but retention in a SaaS business is so important, equally important, if not more important. You can't continue to grow if you have a leaky bucket and you're losing customers. So customer success is huge. You empower self-service. You want, again, it goes back to the comments about your users are smart. They know how to navigate technology. They understand how to research. They give them the tools to be able to do things on their own. Make your product so simple and intuitive that people don't necessarily need to talk to someone to set it up. Again, easier said than done, but it should always be something that's top of mind and something that businesses are striving for. And create opportunities for upsell. So one company in our portfolio that we feel does this exceptionally well is Calendly. So Calendly is a tool that can be used to help with scheduling meetings and calls. And just to give an example, on the screen here, you see that someone had sent me a link to their Calendly calendar. And what it did, it integrates with I think they were using Gmail, integrates with their calendar and exposes me to availability to engage. So then I can select a time or day that works for me based on what works for Ashley, with all that back and forth of, does this one work for you? Oh, no, it doesn't work for me. Oh, does this one work for you? No, it doesn't work for me. I mean, so many meetings just end up falling off the tracks or opportunities to connect just because that back and forth is painful, right? So Calendly makes it less painful and with a beautiful interface, great experience. Once I selected a time with Ashley, it sent me a confirmation. Okay, your meeting's set. It's going to be 30 minutes. Here's the Tuesday that worked for you. Now, why don't you get your own Calendly page? And at this point, you understand, wow, this was such a simple, easy process. Why wouldn't I sign up for this? And now Ashley is kind of acting as a sales rep for the business without even knowing it. I mean, at the end of the day, all Ashley wants to do is make sure that she's got meetings set up with great people efficiently and effectively. But ultimately, she's inadvertently become a sales rep for Calendly. So you might be thinking, this won't work. This is not going to work for my product, my market, my business model. Yeah, of course, Slack is great. Dropbox, hello. These are some of the most successful businesses of our generation. We're not like them. We're more enterprise. Our product is super technical, and I totally get it. But what I can say is that no matter where you are in the spectrum of like very traditional core enterprise go-to-market model, complex sale, complex technology, new sort of value prop to the market, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, like a Slack, where it's super product first and very, very clear, easy what the value prop is. You can still adopt elements of product-led strategy, even if you're at that enterprise end of the spectrum. And so I want to give you an example of a company in our portfolio that really did have more the traditional enterprise go-to-market approach. We had invested in them a couple of years back, and at that point in time, it was an enterprise sales play. They had a sales team that was closing deals that were 20,000 ASP, 30,000 ASP and upwards. And they were, to be honest, doing very, very well. We only make 4 to 6 investments a year. So in order for us to invest, yes, they were absolutely growing north of 100% year over year. However, the CEO, Andy, really, really smart guy. He was very well connected to his customers, and he noticed that there was friction in getting these attorneys. They ultimately sell, it's a legal technology that helps in the e-discovery process. They sell to attorneys, largely in-house general counsel, to help them cull through massive amounts of documents and data to ultimately get to resolution faster with legal matters. And so these attorneys were like, this sounds amazing, and this would be so outstanding if we could introduce this to our into our organization. It would, I could see how this would save us money and time. But it was as the buyer, it was hard for these attorneys to kind of really wrap their head around signing up for a year and that big of a price tag for something that they had never used before. My husband's a lawyer. He brings home still, you'd probably kill me if you heard me saying this, but briefcases of papers that are this thick. I mean, this is an industry that is still very much operating with pen and paper. And so, to introduce something that's this modern is a little bit scary, although it makes a whole lot of sense. So through research, and we ultimately, we did some research for them through our expansion team and the efforts of Kyle Poyer and Ashley Minogue on our team to really go out there and talk to more of their buyers, more of their customers to understand what are your real pain points? What would make this an easier process? How do you want to buy? And so by conducting over 30 of these interviews, we were able to provide them a set of recommendations, and it all boiled down to adopting a little bit more of a PLG model and a pay-as-you-go model. So rather than an annual upfront traditional enterprise contract, allow your buyers to buy the way that they want to buy. And these are lawyers, so they're typically on a monthly billing schedule. Allow for a monthly option. And Andy, the CEO, really, really excited about the concept, did a seamless job integrating it into the business. And let's just talk about some of those results, right? So they grew their customer base by 500% in less than 12 months. They maintained a 97% customer satisfaction score. So even though they had acquired that many more customers, they were doing a kick-ass job keeping them happy. And the reason being was the second bullet. They tripled their customer success team in 2017. So at the end of the day, is this a product-led business that is just like Slack? No. It still is very much it's an enterprise sale. However, they adjusted it to exhibit more of those product-led qualities, putting the user at the center of the experience, removing friction, getting them to see value quickly. For Logical, it's a great solution to actually deploy this type of method because you can actually very quickly see the ROI. These lawyers were historically spending a lot of money maybe with outside legal counsel. As we know, that's very expensive. Logical can reduce those outside legal costs and in a very short time period. So once they could see the value in those first few months, well, then it is far easier to upsell and to get your customers more open to maybe an annual contract because they get it. They've experienced it. They've got the ROI, and it's very easy to sort of get internal buy-in. So hopefully you can understand why we're so excited about product-led growth as investors. We, as I mentioned, are very much focused on all things PLG at the moment. So we're putting out a lot of great content from podcasts to ebooks to webinars to different calculators almost every single day on this topic. So I encourage you to check out our OpenView Labs website. And you can also download our playbook that we put out last year, our PLG playbook, at the link that is mentioned below here. But yeah, I've had a blast sharing some insights around product-led businesses with you today. And I really appreciate the opportunity, Wes and the team, of having me here to share a little bit of our story and our why we're so excited about PLG. So thank you so much.